Hey guys, welcome to a recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, episode 5, Drama for Your Mama. Guys, honestly, I completely forgot about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I feel like it's just not hitting how it used to hit. I'm really missing Nene. I'm really missing Portia. Kenya and Candy, they're fine, but I feel like this season, I feel like the cast is not coming together as one to really make a really good show. So, yeah, I just remembered that they were on this awful, awful, awful trip in Alabama. So, where we last left off, Kenya, she was upset with these ladies. Why, first of all, are they banging at her door? She said goodnight. She was done. She was through with filming, and she just went crazy because Brookie is in the hotel room trying to sleep. Why would these ladies even think to do that? That's so inconsiderate. But I understand their perspective. They came on this trip to support Kenya, and Kenya is not being a really good host. And you know who's not having it? Marlo Hampton, and she makes it very clear, and she dogs pile pretty much on Kenya, saying how much she is not enjoying this trip, how Kenya fails to host this trip. So she is knocking, banging on the door, and she got the response that she wanted out of Kenya. And so that didn't help anything. So the ladies, they end up going and leaving from the hotel lobby by Kenya's to go pretty much. I think they went down, they went downstairs to the lobby. So they left outside the door of Kenya Moore's hotel room to go down to the lobby to really talk and get into some things. And in the midst of all this commotion, it becomes a situation where Moneta and Marlo are going at it with each other. And y'all, Sheree, she describes it perfectly. Manetta and Marlo are both the type to want to have the final word, final say. So one is not backing down, the other one's not backing down. So this is not going to end up anywhere or get anywhere. So, Sheree says this is like playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot with two rocks. And I thought that was just the perfect description of the situation. I completely get it. I felt like, okay, Manetta, she's really taking her time to shine in this episode in this season, because I remember last season we didn't get much out of Manera, so much to the point that she didn't even have her moment in the reunion. So I feel like she has. Do you think she has done enough to qualify at least a spot in the reunion to have something to say to these ladies, like the final word, final say? Because obviously she likes the final word, final say. So I know that she would love to attend and take part of a reunion. But I felt like, Mayanera, you really just. Mayanera is coming off to me as a side character and not as her own. Not as her own. With her moment with Marlo, it got getting down to the lobby. We had an immature moment where Marlo just slams the door. We saw it. She slammed the door on Manetta, and Manetta not having it, and they're just going at it with each other. So I didn't like this. I felt like this is getting too messy for a girls' trip that's not even a girls' trip. I was just so over it. I thought it was so tacky. I just thought this is not what I want on my television show. Like, I honestly, if it wasn't for me recapping this, I would have changed the channel, find something else. So now we have Kenya on the phone line with Manetta, and Manetta is pretty much telling Kenya that she regrets even dealing with Marlo, and pretty much Kenya's like saying, "Oh, I told you so, but you always let them in. You always let them in because you're so nice." And now Sheree, she's also getting in on this phone call and saying, it wasn't the ladies banging on the door. It wasn't her. It was just Marlo. And I'm like, excuse me, Sheree, your memory? You were the first one to even kick the door first, and then Marlo did it. So I thought that was interesting. And I love that, the producers, they do a flashback for us as the viewers to make sure we all know that she did participate in that. So I can't wait to see what she's gonna say about that in the reunion. I guess this is what we're gonna talk about when we get to the reunion. So ultimately, in this whole conversation on the phone call with Kenya Moore, Kenya just ultimately just wants her core group to just stay on the trip, and the other girls, the outsiders, pretty much to leave because it's like bad energy, bad vibes. And you would think that's a cue to say that she's not feeling good. She's the hostess and she's feeling a little bit let down about the situation. So why would Sonia pull the phone? Me thinking that she's gonna try to bring some peace to Kenya, but instead dogpile. Sanya, she goes and she asks, "Oh, well, so what are we doing on this trip? Like, what are the plans? You know, I have to travel, da 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 da." And Kenya, she kept it short and shady. She was like, "Sanya, you can go. You don't even have you can go." And Sanya was so shocked. She was like, "Say less." And she ends up picking up herself up and going to her hotel room to pack up. I was like, yeah, say less. Say less. And Kenya, thank you for being, 100% honest. Kenya, you always gonna get that with her, and I love that for her. So yeah, this girls' trip, we're losing people. We're going down. Like Sanya, she's leaving. Drew wasn't even on the trip. Candy was not even on the trip. So now it's gonna be what? Just Sheree and who Courtney, the newbie, and Marlo if she stays. Oh my God! So Kenya, she doesn't hold back. She tells Sanya you could leave. She picks up and goes. And in the confessional, Sanya she makes a good point, which I wish she said that on the phone. I'm like, Sanya, that was your moment to say that. Don't just say less. Say why you're really mad. And I get it based off the confessional she said. She said that, oh, when Sanya was hosting a trip for the couples, she, she was doing the best as the host and also working on her job. But Kenya needed pretty much Sanya to be there for every beck and call, to be there for her guests. So why, when the roles are reversed, Kenya doesn't have an itinerary of what they're doing, the game plan, or at least something to show that there's some sort of structure. Because you can tell that Senya, she's a little bit of a micromanager. Like she doesn't let go of control, so she needs to at least have some sort of schedule, which is fair. But Kenya, she wanted to surprise the girls and pretty much have them come along for the ride. But these ladies are busy, so they can't just drop everything not knowing what they're getting themselves into, I think that's a bit fair and understanding on Sanya's part. So, Sanya, she also adds another point. She says that, the trip would have been so different, or at least the treatment by Kenya would have been different towards ladies if Drew and Candy were here. And I'm like, no, I disagree. That's where you're wrong, Sanya, because it's just Kenya doesn't know how to host a trip. She is not a hostess doing the mostest. She does the leastest, so therefore she shouldn't be the hostess. So yeah, I think the trip would have still been the same. It's just Kenya can't host. Uh-uh. So Kenya, she ends up having to ruin the surprise, and she shares with Sheree that I was gonna do halftime performance for you ladies, and I wanted to shock you and surprise you. And Sheree's like, if we have known that, we would have, of course, would have supported you all the way. But Sheree tried to have Kenya kind of understand how the other ladies are looking at things. And I agree. I agree. So Marlo, she's over cooling down with Courtney, and she's sharing how she texts Kenya how much of a horrible person she is, and then she was thinking of even posting it on social media, and it's just like ugh, so tacky, so tacky. And Sanya, since she's out of the group with Kenya, she goes and tells Marlo Hampton, which I don't think that's a good look. She goes and tells Marlo that, oh, um Kenya told me to leave, that I need to leave. And that even winds up Marlo even more about the situation. Like this is getting just so messy, and the ladies are not like helping de-escalate the situation. Like, why would you go tell Marlo? You know, Marlo don't really. They're fighting right now, so why would you go give more ammo to hype more people up about the situation? And this situation is not even giving. Like, why are we fighting about this? Like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. So I just feel like, Sanya doesn't recognize time and place because Kenya on the phone call, it was giving me, oh, she's already feeling down about the situation. I mean, it had to be embarrassing to be kicked out from that party to now having to like go back home and host these ladies. Like it doesn't feel good, so it doesn't help the situation where you want to just, dogpile and add more onto Kenya. So Tanya was fortunate that Pam really didn't really read her all the way down. So yeah, so Tanya, she feels like it's unfair, but I feel like, you fell for that one. You fell right into that one. So Senya, she leaves Marlo, goes to her room, and brings back all her stuff. And she makes let everyone know that she's leaving. She's out of this trip. And Kenya is so shady. She's like, "Who is speaking?" And Senya's like, "Wow, she doesn't recognize my voice." And I'm like, okay, yeah, at least you saved the show a little bit of some shade. I needed that a little bit. So it was just so nasty, so rude. Oh my God. I wonder what the trip would have given if Nene was on this trip. Because I know, like, oh, the right people had to be involved in the situation. It's just Sanya doesn't give. Manetta, she's saying all these liners that are known on the show, but to me is not as authentic and roll off the tongue as it is with the other ladies. So when it comes to that, for me, I just need them to be genuine, to be real. So I was not eating up much what Manada was giving. So it's the next day, y'all, and we get to see Drew leaving the hospital feeling a little better. So she was actually sick. And then we also see Candy Coated Production with Candy and Todd, and they're just booking busy talking about their plans. Candy has like 4 movies in which she didn't have to do no auditions for. So she is talking to her man Todd and giving Todd all the focus that he is requiring for his movie. And he is showing her the pretty much the cover poster of for his film. And Candy gets a phone call and she starts to be on not a phone call. Starts to get a notification on her phone and she starts texting, and you see her getting distracted, and I'm like, okay, this is the storyline. Like this is the storyline, and I'm like not buying it, but okay, I'll go with it. Let's make it happen. So they share that a conversation about BravoCon, how she hasn't spoken to her mother since BravoCon, but that is something that she wants to address. She does agree that she doesn't want her man to be put down anymore, because they both feel like maybe she does this as a joke. I feel like she does this because, that's what she's known for. So she plays it up a bit. So we'll see in this conversation, that talk later down the road, that she's going to have her mom. So I hope she get this right because, after some time, you get a little tired of them putting down Todd. I feel for Todd. So now back to this amazing trip all the way in Alabama. Y'all, I'm so done with this trip. I'm so done with this trip. So we see, the girls. We see Drew FaceTiming Courtney to get the tea, the information, what's going on in this trip. She finds out how horrible it is. Then we also see Marlo having a FaceTime conversation with her life coach. And it's just like, oh my God, Miss Sharon, you need to help this woman. You need to help this woman. She gives good advice, but it seems like it goes in one ear and out the other. Is it sticking? I can't tell. We have to wait on that. So now we get to see Kenya, and she is not feeling well. She's not sounding well. She calls for an ambulance, and that is so scary. So Sheree, she's seeing all 911 emergency EMTs going into Kenya's room in the morning, and she doesn't even know what's going on. So she's like, "What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?" So she goes in, and we see her go in, but we don't know what happened. But then we see Sheree calling all the girls to come down to her room to have a talk. And when they come to her room to go have a talk, she shares with the ladies what happened with Kenya. Now, Manetta, she had an idea what was going on. She was made aware of the situation. And Kenya has a high fever and she was admitted to the hospital. So all the ladies are shocked. And even Marlo, she is genuinely concerned for Kenya. Like she didn't want that for her. No one wants anyone to see anyone have these kind of issues. So I like the fact that Marlo was actually genuinely concerned. And so they decide to FaceTime Kenya to get an update. And she says that she has a high fever and that they're doing some checks on her to make sure everything else is okay. So Manera, after the FaceTime, Mañana gets super emotional because it reminds her of her mom and dealing like with family in the hospital, which is sympathetic. Everyone can feel sympathy for that. Even Marlo, she comes to hug Mañera to really bring peace to the situation, and they prayed for Kenya. Like that's not a way to have a girls trip. I didn't like that for her at all. So that was super unfortunate, and I was so sad to even see Kenya on a gurney getting pulled into the emergency truck. So that was so sad. So the girls, they discuss about the situation with Moneta and Marlo. And Marlo, she wants to resolve the situation. She wants to hug the situation out, but Moneta, she wants to talk about the situation. Now, Sheree has Marlo's back and lets um Manera know that the door was actually quite heavy, that she didn't slam the door. But we saw the production teams rolled the tape and showed that no, she like took the door and like boom, like she slammed the door, seriously. So I just wanted this drama to be over. I wanted them to be over this fight. So the ladies, they drop it and they go down and head over for lunch. So they were eating lunch out of boxes, y'all. I didn't like to see that. I like to see the food like laid out to be presented. I feel like this show is giving me, I don't know. I didn't like it too much. It wasn't giving me ambiance. I felt like this was not to the level that it should be at. So the girls are eating lunch and they pretty much are recapping everything that's happened in the trip. And Maneta, she shares what the dance would have been for Kenya's performance. And the girls are surprised how well that Maneta can dance. Even Marlo, she's being nice and giving Maneta her compliments, her flowers. And I feel like, I want to get to know more about Maneta, more about her and not her just like, as a side character to someone else. So the ladies, they ultimately want to call it truce and say that, you see, this is positive energy. Let's bring this positive energy back over to Atlanta. Now we know that's not going to last because everyone that in the group is not here and things are not settled. So we know that that's not going to last, but it's a cute little thought to have to kind of wrap and put this girl's trip with a pretty little bowl. So I feel like that's what they were doing. Because even if when they were trying to make a truce, Sheree brought up that, oh, she still has an issue with Drew. And I'm like, ugh, why? And apparently it's because Drew was running off doing an interview talking about Sheree in a negative light. And I feel like this is what Drew does. And watch how Drew pretend that she don't know what the hell Sheree is talking about. I just thought this was a horrible girls trip and I was over it. I would feel so embarrassed for these ladies when they have to talk about this at the reunion. Like this is not a girls trip to remember. It's one to forget. Like pretend it never happened. So we then get a scene with Sanya and Courtney, and honestly, this scene was not necessary. This scene was not necessary at all. I feel like Sanya, you don't have to come back. You don't have to come back because this was a scene that I was hoping we get, something from Sanya, something from Courtney, but it didn't feel necessary. They didn't need to add it. I thought it was a filler scene. We could have done without it. Moving on, we are over at Kenya's and Sheree is coming over to Kenya's to bring over some wellness shots, checking on Kenya after the trip because she was in horrible condition when we last saw her. Now, in this scene, she looked a little bit better, but she still has some recovery that needs to be done. She was still coughing all over the place, and like, cough still scares me a little bit. And so Kenya, she lets Sheree know that she's sad, missing out on the performance. Like she felt like this was a good business opportunity and a good experience too as well to be in alignment with an HBCU with her brand would have been perfect. So I hope that she'll have this opportunity again because the outfits look cute and she learned a whole routine. And I feel like this is something that that can happen again. Homecoming always happens. So I don't think this is the last time for Kenya for sure. So we then hear the girls, hear the ladies talk about the trip, and I'm like, oh my god, this trip does not exist. Let's pretend that it does not exist. And thank you, Brooklyn, for running into that room, being cute, and switching up the moment because I did not want to hear about this girls trip anymore. So once Brooklyn had her moment and showed her karate skills, so cute, we then hear about Sheree sharing about her fibroids journey and her saying that, she doesn't want to have surgery. She doesn't want to have the experiences that most of these other ladies have had. She wants to go the route where she shrinks them and then not have to deal with that situation again. But the whole gag of that conversation was her um, making Kenya pretty much jump with, oh my god, are you serious about her being pregnant? Sure, he's not pregnant. Come on. Okay, I can't believe Kenya got like that. Kenya got like that. No way. So that was a cute little end to that scene. And we then get to see, which I didn't think we were going to get this episode. We get to see Mama Joyce head over to Candy and then, they have a talk. They have a talk, and I'm like, this can go either way because Mama Joyce, she's a wild card, okay? So Candy says, wow, I haven't seen you for a while since BravoCon. And then she brings up the issue with BravoCon. Now, Mama Joyce looked at her kind of like, come on, y'all can't take a joke. Like, this is something light. Like, this is something that is ha ha he is nothing too deep. But obviously, it's deep for Todd and deep for Candy, which is why she brought it up to her mama. Now, in that moment, Mama Joyce, she felt like this is the timing for her to say that, I just feel like Todd should be teaching Ace how to be a man and how to take out a trash at the age of 6. I felt like, no, he don't. At six, I don't know if you could take out trash at 6. The trash can may be bigger than you. But I feel like, in this time and age, we don't need to have this kind of mindset to say, oh, what a man should do, shouldn't do, or like, oh, um, how he's underperforming as a father. That kid, he has a commercial with KFC. He is doing well. He is doing great. He's doing fantastic. So I'm like, ugh, this was not necessary, Mama Joyce. So she brings up how, Todd pretty much avoids her. And that's pretty much the reason why she doesn't feel as comfortable as she used to feel in coming to Candy's home. And, Candy brings up, well, the reason why he avoids you is because he doesn't want the negative energy. So, what we got to do is clear the energy here. So, I'm like, wow, this is really a serious situation. Like, not him avoiding Mama Joyce when she comes through, and then you hear Mama Joyce kind of putting him down even some more. Like didn't even help. She's like, oh, when she first met him, he was meek and humble, and now he is just like, uh, what she said. She said called him George Jefferson, and then you have the production team giving a side by side of what she called him and what Todd looked like. I'm like, you guys, that is so funny. That is so hilarious. But Candy, she wants to make this work, and I want this to work for Candy. And Candy suggests, oh, we should do counseling to, kind of get things much more better. And Mama Joy, she agrees. So I look forward to see that. And I'm shocked because I'm like, oh, she agreed to that quite easily, but I feel like she was prepared to have this conversation. So I thought that would have been the end of the scene, but we get another scene, y'all. We get a scene where Kenya goes to a vitamin drip shop and she invites over Sheree and Drew. And the reason why she invites these two is because she wants these two to be in alignment so they could go take down Marlo together. I feel like this is gonna be the people versus Marlo. Okay, so they come through the shop, and these two, they were so hesitant to even say hi to each other, to give high. They only were only comfortable to give a high five. And so they are talking and they're resolving their issues. And the thing is that with Drew, yeah, she did do the interview and complained about not receiving the She by Sheree stuff. And the reason why she did it is because she actually really wanted She by Sheree items production. So I thought this was a good opportunity for Sheree to continue to push her product. So I felt like that was a situation that was like not really an issue, but really a plot set up by Sheree to really push and pump out her products. Like have people still wanting She by Sheree, which is good for her. So they also brought up how, the situation with Drew and Marlo. Drew shares her side about what really happened in that blowout. And Marlo didn't tell the whole truth of what happened in that blowout, but the girls, they really took Drew's side as being the truth teller, even though sometimes Drew added a little sauce to the situation. And it's just like these ladies are not here for Marlo, and I feel like it's gonna be the people versus Marlo because we get to see that preview with Candy when Candy gets mad. Oh my god. Oh my god, that episode's gonna be so fire. Oh my gosh. And then you see she's crying because she said, because I can't check her. I can't check her the way I want to check her, which I thought was hilarious. So, yeah, guys, that was the recap of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. What did you guys think? Are you guys over Sonya? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I feel like Cynthia Bailey did more justice to this cast than Sonya has added. I'm waiting for her to shine. I mean, this is like what her second season, so this is her opportunity to really showcase. I mean, you got your feet wet, so now you're really in a situation. So let's see you do your part and shine. So, guys, as always, share, like, and subscribe. I appreciate every one of you. And as always, share as much kindness as possible. Bye, guys.